So mini roundabouts. We're going to talk about priority, shields, lockups, and dot fear. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4 terms that I want to talk about. The rest of this stuff is common knowledge, but that has specifically to do with mini roundabouts. Now, the process, if you understand this, there are processes on mini roundabouts that actually do not have to do with priority. So we'll be talking about that as well and how that works. Okay, so the first trigger or advance warning of when you are going to go to a mini roundabout is the red triangle, which is your warning sign showing you there's a roundabout ahead. This sign tells you that you need to start looking at other clues to find out what type of roundabout you're going to be dealing with. That sign is the same for a mini roundabout, open roundabout, a closed roundabout, and a spiral roundabout. So all of the roundabouts are actually also applicable to the sign. You are being warned early, not at the junction. So this sign is normally, depends on the speed of the road, how far away from the road it is, and it's telling you that you are approaching a roundabout. So that way you start thinking about it and you just make sure you're trying to now identify what type of roundabout you are going to be dealing with. Why should you start thinking early? I think the main thing here is just think about it. It helps you prepare, it helps you get ready, okay? Okay guys, so here's my question to all of you, all right? So what other sign can also feature as a warning, providing a clue of what you are facing next? So another, what other sign, before you get to the roundabout, could also give you an idea of what you are going to be seeing next? What other sign could also be giving you an idea? So you've seen this, you've seen the previous sign, we've spoken about it. There it is, it's the triangle with the chasing arrows on it. That's not at the roundabout, it's prior to the roundabout. What other sign prior to the roundabout can give you an idea of what you are going to be dealing with? Okay, so leaderboard, yeah? So your leaderboard, what other sign is your leaderboard, right? There's your leaderboard. So a leaderboard, if you see something like that, that's not going to be a mini roundabout. That's definitely not going to be a mini roundabout. So you see the sign, it's probably not going to be, it could be an open roundabout, it could even be a spiral roundabout, but I doubt that would be a spiral roundabout. There are major junctions coming in, and normally those things would be a controlled roundabout, some sort of closed roundabout controlled by traffic lights. So your leaderboard can also give you a really good idea of what you are about to face. Normally, we'll be looking at a leaderboard as well in the video later that actually is more likely to be a mini roundabout. So this is your second sign. So the first sign is the warning sign, the triangle with the chasing arrows, and the second sign is the leaderboard. Okay, then, now this blue sign with the chasing arrows has a really significant specific process. And that is that this junction is a mini roundabout. It is at the junction. If it is more than, I'd say, 10 feet away from that junction, it's not correctly positioned. And the trouble that you have is that often councils and so on don't follow the rules. That sign needs to be at the junction. And there's a specific reason it has to be at the junction. Do you know why it is? Why does the sign have to be at the junction itself? Yeah, that is to inform you of the mini roundabout, but why at the junction? Why does it have to be at the junction? To show us information, to remind us, to give way, yes, all of those things. But there's another very, very important reason. And don't miss this, because if you miss this sign, you might miss that you're on a mini roundabout. Why would you miss that you're on a mini roundabout? That's really what I'm after. Why would you miss that you are on a mini roundabout if you don't have this sign? If the sign is not there, or it's broken, or it's fallen off, or it's worn, and you suddenly get to a junction and it's snowed, what happens if it snows? You've got 2 inches of snow on the ground and that sign is not at a junction and you haven't driven in this area that you're driving in before. Are you going to see the markings on the road? No, you aren't. Sometimes you don't even see the markings on the road because the markings on the road are so faded. Nowadays, it might even have a pothole in it as well. The reason you have to have that sign is that you have something sticking up above the water, the flooded road. Above the light might be, you might have had rain and the light might be shining in your eyes and you can't see the markings on the road. If you can't see the markings on the road and you don't know a junction is a mini roundabout, the guy who lives there is going to know it's a mini roundabout. And then all of a sudden you don't give priority to him coming from your right, and it's going to be an accident. Basically, if you can't see the dot, you don't know, unless you know the area, you don't know that that junction is a mini roundabout. So if you can't remember that that junction is a mini roundabout, you don't have a sign, or you're there for the first time, and there's some reason you can't see the dot might be faded, it might be snowed over, it might be rained, it might be in a puddle, it might be anything. If you can't see on the ground and you don't see it on the ground, you don't know that junction is a mini roundabout unless you live in the area. You might live and go through that junction every day, you know that's a mini roundabout. But If the other guys don't know and there's no sign, then nobody knows that's a mini roundabout and things can go awry quickly. That's the reason it is at the junction, is so that obviously you are reminded, you are told, and you need to know it's a mini roundabout. Okay, need its own sign. You can't treat it as a normal junction, and the sign has to be at the junction. That's the reason. Okay, now painted center dot, giveaway lines, directional arrows, these are all things that tell you that you're dealing with a roundabout. Okay, and also the other thing that you can also be looking at is the markings at the mini roundabout, the giveaway lines. You can see as you enter a mini roundabout, you normally have giveaway lines as well. Okay, now what does the painted dot cause so much fear? Guys, I get in cars so many times, and I've had so many people make this mistake. You get in a car and you come up to a roundabout, and all of a sudden your student that you're teaching struggles to get around the dot in the center, and they don't want to go over the dot because some instructor has told them you have to drive around the dot, you mustn't go up on the dot. That's what I call dot fear. It's not true, it's not necessary, and it's absolute rubbish. If your instructor tells you you're not allowed to go on the dot, you tell him that's your problem, not mine. The examiner is not going to fail you because you have not driven around the dot. If your wheels go over the dot, it's not the end of the world, as long as you've taken a proper line through the roundabout. In other words, you haven't sort of taken a shortcut, or you haven't cut, but you've used a proper line around the dot. Don't have dot fear.